think we can start. There's still a few more people I think that was meant to join, but hopefully they can catch up with us. I just wanted to say good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everybody. Thank you for joining us across the globe, and thank you for taking time out of your busy diaries to join us today. And then a special thanks also to Renee Brunt, our founder and CEO of Ubunya, who's joining us today. Super excited that he could make this webinar. To those of you who didn't join, I'm sorry. Seems like I've put myself on mute there. So I hope you heard my warm welcome to everybody, and a special welcome to Renee Brunt, our CEO and founder. The previous webinar, we tackled the human resource vertical, and today we're going to focus on logistics. So I'm not sure what it's like in across the globe, but in South Africa especially, it's quite challenging. So we've got one of our guest speakers, Sean Kirby-Smith, who's going to be joining us and talking to us about some of the challenges they have in their business. They've got a prominent business in South Africa, SALube, so we're looking forward to that talk. And then we're going to have Imdat Kraus taking us through the Ubunya product suite to show us how it works. Because we're quite a big group, if you guys don't mind just putting yourself on mute, and then if you've got any questions, feel free to raise your hands and we'll address it. So with no further ado, welcome to Sean. Unfortunately, for those of you who are not in South Africa, you might not understand load shedding, but we do get times where we don't have any power. So Sean has got some technical issues. We would be able to hear him, but not see him. So unfortunately, we can't see his gorgeous face today, but Sean will be having a chat and briefing us. Welcome, Sean.
Good day. Thanks, Corinda. I think you guys are quite lucky that you...
Oh, there we go. We can see you.
Oh, you can see me now.
Welcome.
Oh, thank you. So, so thank you very much for the invite. Glad to be with all of you today. Yeah, just some insight from a logistics point of view. We're more involved with distribution and warehousing, but because of the nature of our business, we do a fair amount of logistics as well. So we have a fair understanding of what happens and the challenges that comes around with logistics. So just to give you a bit of history of SALube, SALube is one of the 70 ambassador club of Castrol. We should all know Castrol, they're global. And yeah, to be part of this group, it's quite a unique reward or membership, if you want to call it that, where you're chosen on various criteria, on best business practice, how you operate as a whole, basically, how you handle customers, your debtors book, etc., etc. But I don't want to get too involved with that. SALube has been around for more than 15 years, and to which I've been managing the operations of that. So as we all know, when you deal with people, there's always challenges. Emotions come up, all sorts of things pop up here and there. Looking at the global at the moment, we've got a problem with the environment. We see the causes with nature. As you look around, you see the icebergs melting and all that type of thing. So as being a brand leader and an ambassador for a strong brand like Castrol, we take these things very serious, and we need to play our part as business, and we need to cut down on using paper and likes of it. We see the energy crisis as well. So to be generating a whole lot of paperwork and things like that, using too much power and resources and energy to do all of that stuff. So like our forefathers, we can't be archaic in the way that we do business, and especially when you're trying to build your business and become brand leaders in the market or take over market share. You need to be ahead of technology in today's life. The new generation coming up, they're not like you and I, as older guys, where you like to see face to face. They're more hands-on, they're more technically, and if you're not playing in that field, you quite simply you're falling off the bus and you're going to become irrelevant in this new age world. So yeah, so the other thing that we have found, the minute you're generating a whole lot of paper, you develop a whole lot of systems to manage systems. Then you need to hire people to manage the systems, to manage people to manage the systems. So it just becomes a whole lot of Columbus and extra work and management tools that you don't really need if you're doing it digitally. So we've come to recognize as a business ourselves, and it's a way that we're moving forward to take us to the next level and into the new world. So we've got a thing called picking slips. So when a customer places an order, you would generate a picking slip. It would go to the back, to the warehouse. The guys would then sign for a documentation so that we can trace the picking slip. They would then go and pick the stock, come back, and then need a manager or a checker to check what the pickers picked. They'll need a manager to check what the checkers checked and what the pickers picked, and so it goes down the line. The drivers come in, they then recheck. So you see the amount of double handling that happens just in that system alone. But amongst all of that, I mean, like I said earlier, you've got human intervention. So the guy may be going through a breakup at home, a divorce, may have found a new girlfriend, or won some sort of a lottery ticket or something, and his mind's just not 100% focused on the job and what he should be doing. So he goes and he picks the wrong product. So now you've got stock variances, which is obviously a cost to the business. You've lost that piece of paper, so now you need 3 other people to get involved to try and trace who had that piece of paper last, which is a picking slip, to try and find out where it is and what's happened, and is it a genuine mistake that's happened, or is it part of a scam or a network that's been created to generate extra income for the individual outside of the business? All businesses face these challenges across the globe, so I'm sure you all know exactly what I'm talking about. The next problem that happens is that the driver then takes the product out, they go to the customer, they're not thinking clearly, they deliver the product to the wrong customer. Now again, you've got to get a salesperson out to go and have a consultation with the customer. This customer could be 1 mile, 2 kilometers, depending where in the world you are and what mileage system or kilometer system you use. But that's a cost of energy. You're using fuel, you're using diesel, you're using electricity, or whatever vehicles you're operating with. Besides that, it's a resource that's now running around tracing something you really shouldn't be tracing. And instead of the salesperson generating sales for you, they're now trying to trace a piece of paper and correct an incorrect delivery because you're not using something that's more modernized, that can plan your route for you, make sure you're delivering to the right customer. Because if you're using a scanner to offload and load, the scanner doesn't get a drop. Human beings get a drop. And that's, unfortunately, it is what it is. The next issue, that's the picking slip side of it. Then you come to the invoicing. Now, there's a whole lot of invoices that goes to customers. Customers lose the invoices, your drivers lose the invoices, or if the invoices come back to the warehouse, your admin team could lose the invoices. Then once again, like the picking slip, you've now got 3 or 4 people trying to trace who had this invoice or the proof of delivery lost to try and find out, was the stock delivered? And obviously, if you can't prove to your customer that you've delivered the product to them, there's an argument. So now, do you really want to get into an argument with your customer and say, we did deliver it, you need to pay us for it? You'll end up losing a customer, which costs a lot more money than just taking a hit. So what most businesses do is they'll say, okay, we'll take the hit because we can't prove that we've delivered the product to you, which is cost to company. Whereas if you had an electronic device, that paperwork's not going to go missing. Everybody knows it's been delivered because it's real time as it's happening. So you eliminate all of those frustrations from the customer. And in our particular business, we are where we are because of service. So the minute you start making it a bit of an issue to deal with, you lose that customer support, and that can really go to any other customer that sold or supplier that sells oil. So you need to eliminate all of those frustrations with your customer, which makes you a leader of your market space. People don't want to deal with complexities. The easier, the better. The next thing that happens is on delivery of product from from the suppliers. When it comes in, again, you've got human hands counting stock, bringing it into stock, capturing pieces of paper. Stock goes missing because in our business, one brown box looks very similar to another brown box. So on the one box, it will say GTX, the next box will say GTX diesel. So when you're counting many boxes coming in, your eyes get used to just reading GTX and it misses the diesel. So all of a sudden you've got discrepancies in your stock, and obviously these items coming at different pricing. And also when you're invoicing out, same thing in reverse. So by not scanning, you're relying again on human intervention, which is actually quite risky for you. And again, it's okay. It's not the modern world's moved on, and we need to move on as leaders. Pretty much that's it. So in order to take our business further, we really need to move more digitalized, and we need to get our businesses off of this paperwork, which is destroying the environment and causing a whole lot of extra cost to company that we really don't need. And yes, so if you have any other questions or anything, I'm willing to answer. Otherwise, back to you, Corinda.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you very much. And thanks for sharing some of your insights and taking the time out today. We know you're a very, very busy man. So thank you for that. I'm going to hand over to Imgard now. Does anyone have any questions for Sean? Or I'm not sure if there's any questions. Or if you want, you can hold on till the end. I'm not sure if Sean's going to stay with us, hoping he will. Thank you. So yes, then over to you, Imgard.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. Or like Corinda says, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone across the globe. Thank you so much, Sean, for your time and for engaging with us and telling us a bit more about your organization and actually how you work. Today, as we said, this is a logistics webinar. So we're actually going to talk a little bit about, obviously, logistics. But I think in general, we're actually going to talk about, how a transport industry actually works. And I think in general, when you are doing logistics or transport or actually delivering something, the documentation that you are working with are generally the same. You are working with an order or a delivery note, and then of course there are also invoices involved and packing slips. So as Sean said, a lot of times there's a lot of manual intervention involved, and of course there are people involved, and in that whole process, when you look at the beginning and the end, during that whole circle, from the beginning to the end, a lot of mistakes can happen. It is just human nature. And in that whole process, of course, documents can go missing. And of course, when it gets to the point of invoicing, that's of course a problem, because you need the delivery note in order to invoice, and of course that can cause delays, or that's a whole another problem. So the first thing I want to touch on before I even start is just a small thing. The question, a lot of people throw the word around, digital transformation, and people don't know, and I'll share my screen with you shortly, but a lot of people don't know actually what the word, or words, I should rather say, digital transformation is. And, you hear it often. So today I'm just going to quickly explain to you what digital transformation is, or how we see it. So digital transformation is really the integration of digital technology into either all or certain areas of a business. And that fundamentally changes how that business operates and how they eventually deliver value to their customers. Because at the end of the day, when you, as Sean rightly said at the end, if you eventually decide to go digital and you integrate digital technology either into the whole area, into all of your business, or into a certain area of your business, it basically fundamentally changes how you operate, and eventually they will add more value to their customers. But it's not just digital transformation in the sense of technology, it also means that the people in that organization, there's a whole cultural shift. It means that people now have to adopt to the new way that they work. There's certain challenges that they have to now adapt to. They have to now experiment a little bit more with the new technology, and also they have to now find new ways of working. So digital transformation, it's now becoming sort of increasingly apparent that many business leaders or owners, they don't, for them, digital transformation in an organization, it means different things. So because digital transformation for every company or organization really looks different. It's very hard to pinpoint a specific definition that applies to everyone because their requirements are different. So if we had to look at digital transformation in general terms, we literally can define it this way, just to make it simple. It basically means walking away from a very long-standing process or business process that the company was built upon in favor of a relatively new practice that is still being defined. Because now that the business have implemented digital technology, they are still defining that process. They are still transforming. They are still working on those processes. And these days, if you look at multifunctional devices, your copiers or your printers or whatever you want to call them, they are simply becoming vehicles for your documents. They are simply the tools that actually move the documents, and the technology is actually there to intelligently being able to get those documents into the end destination. So I am going to share my screen with you. So please, can you tell me when you can see my screen? Can you all see my screen?
Yes, thank God.
Okay, fantastic. Right. So first of all, the one thing I want to show you is I want to show you the end destination. So the end destination is where do I want my documentation to end up? So let's look at a logistics firm. A logistic firm, obviously, it's got delivery notes, or it's got invoices, and it's got packing slips. So those are most of the documents or generic documentations that a logistics or a transport company will have. So, for example, Sean came to us and said to us, listen, Imber, I've got lots of invoices that I want to scan, but the problem is that I put it on a multifunctional device. That I put it on a multifunctional device, but the problem is that I scan it, but then, somebody has to manually intervene with those documents, and then obviously there's a manual right click, give it a name, store it, and then obviously store it somewhere. So that's a lot of manual intervention that needs to happen. And that obviously happens with a lot of customers. It's scanning the document from the multifunctional device, going back to your computer, obviously opening up the document, right-clicking on the document, giving it a name, and then obviously deciding where do I want to obviously place this document now. So it's very manual intensive. That's the first thing. So what I'm going to demonstrate to you today is I've actually got a folder structure here that's called auto invoices. You can see that it's empty. And I'm actually going to almost in a way simulate that I'm scanning from a multifunctional device, and I'm going to put a pack of invoices onto the feeder of that multifunctional device. The second thing is, if for whatever reason I receive invoices or sample documents or packing slips, which also happens because if a driver has to go, obviously, before he does his delivery, he will obviously have a delivery note and he'll have a packing slip as well. That also needs to go into the system. But sometimes the quality of the document is not that great. So obviously, but it still needs to come into the system. I've created a little folder here called the logistics folder. And I'm going to show you that if our system scans the document, but it cannot actually maybe read the quality of the document, then I can also upload the document and attach maybe the additional packing slip to that document as well. So that's also what I'm going to show you. So the first thing I'm going to do is, again, just to show you, those folders are empty. And then my logistics folder, that folder is also empty. So just to simulate, first of all, this is my Evika. This is currently sitting on my laptop. And this I can actually take home if I want to work from home and I receive emails. I can actually upload my documents from here. And as you can see here, I've got a little template called Logistics. So I'm actually going to work with my Logistics template now. So this is where I'm going to upload my documents and my packing slips that are maybe not such good quality or that I receive maybe via email. And over here, can you all see my little folders over here? This is my sample invoices. So currently, this is my multifunctional device. This is the one that's currently acting as my multifunctional device, this little in folder. And over here, I've got a whole bunch of invoices that I am going to now put in a pack. And I am going to put my pack of invoices onto my printer. And I'm going to go, there you go, putting my pack of invoices down, and I press start and I walk away. Because basically, I do not want to do manual work. I don't want to have any intervention with my documents. The second thing is that I would like to do is obviously there may be some documents that are coming back from the warehouse once the driver has collected the stock, and that may actually come through. So, but that's not such great quality maybe. So I'm going to bring in a document over here. Now, as you can see, this document is a little bit dark. The quality is a little bit dark. So all I can do is I can basically highlight the area around it. And I maybe need that information around that area over there as a reference number. The company is called SALube or Castrol, as you can see over there, but I've already got them as a list on my system. And the commodity is, in this case, let's say it's oil. And I'm going to upload this as a selected document. So I'm literally pushing this into my system as well. Okay. So that's what I'm doing now as something that I may have received as an email, or I may have the system that was batch scanning probably said, oh, I couldn't read this invoice because this invoice was maybe of bad quality, and it actually sent it to me because it couldn't read the information because of the quality maybe of the document. Now, whilst I was doing that, in the background, my system was actually taking the invoices that I was scanning from the multifunctional device, and it was actually going and creating folders automatically for me and naming those folders. And inside those folders, it was also creating invoices with the invoice numbers for me automatically as well. If I actually click on the invoice, and you can see there it's created the invoice with the name MedConnect, the amount, the actual invoice number. Now, this is obviously what you want to try and achieve, as much automation as possible. Now, please remember, you can't automate everything, but you can try and automate as much as you possibly can. Now, it's basically still busy running in the background and creating the folders, but basically I can immediately see this is my first version of this document. That is the metadata of the document that have been brought in. That's the person who brought the document in, the date and time of the document. So I can immediately see exactly the information and the auditor that actually needs to look at the document once they come in for an audit can immediately see the information on the document. If I make a change to this document and I simply add information to this document, the first thing it does is it will make a version change because that is a metadata change. The second thing it will do is if I wanted to look at the audit log on this particular document, it will tell me exactly who, what, when, and how made a change to this document. So if I actually scroll down, you will see that it told me I made a change from 119 to 190, and I actually made that change and who did it, and the version label changed from 10 to 1.1. So it actually keeps an exact track or log of per document on the system. If I had to check this document out, meaning I physically take it out of the system, I make a change and bring it back in, it will make a major change onto the system. Now, while this was running, as I said before, it's basically still updating the various various folder structures. Now, I was also obviously bringing a logistics document in. Remember, I brought that other document in that was not just great quality, but I obviously was able to bring that in using my Avica system. So there is my document. There you can see there is my information that I brought in. And obviously the same applies. I can look at my version history, I can look at my metadata, and I can look at my comments. But now let's say the warehouse was a little bit late and the warehouse says to me, oh gosh, I actually forgot, Ingrid, to add the packing slip to this document. Absolutely no problem. All I do is I go and I say, there's or the trip sheet, or for whatever, I can add anything. There's my trip sheet. All I do is I keep all this information the same, and I can do the following. I could just say that's the trip sheet, and I say upload selected document. There I am. I go into my system. I just do a little bit of a refresh quickly. I go file details. And there the trip sheet has now attached itself to the document that is already in the system. So that is how I'm appending documents that actually belongs to each other. So I can now add the delivery note, I can add the trip sheet, I can add the invoice, I can add everything that belongs to each other, that has an association to each other in the system by appending it. I can even do it through the scanner vision system that I was doing previously when I did the batch scanning as well. So that is basically how the bringing in of documents works. Obviously, the important part around this is it's not just the bringing in of the documents by automating the process, but the important part here is how do I find a document? So we have a basic search, which is great, but obviously if you've got 500 documents containing the name Jane, you're going to have a return of 500 documents with the name Jane, which is not really the greatest. So the idea around our system is that you can do an advanced search, and the advanced search is based on the templates that you create in our system. And the way we designed our advanced search is very much based on the way you create your templates. So in other words, what I mean by that is I've created a folder called auto invoices. That's where I brought my invoices in. So I can make this very unique. And what I mean by that is I can go as far as to say, so I've created a template field called auto invoices, and I've created the following template fields. So what I would like to do now is I would actually like to refine my search by searching for a company either called ScannerVision or MedConnect or whatever I would like to do. It will now narrow my search. But now I can narrow my search even further, and I say I would like to search for an invoice with the value 1050. for example. So it will narrow my search even further. The reason we designed our advanced search this way is for a specific reason, because it's not just designed for a logistics environment, for example, or for an HR environment, for example. It's designed for any environment. It's designed, for example, for a medical environment, so that if somebody phones in, what is the first thing a person, if you phone to a doctor, will ask you? Maybe what is your what is your surname, or what is maybe your medical or patient file number or your medical aid number? That's the first thing they will ask you, and then your patient file will pull up. So this is the reason why we've designed our advanced search in a specific way. Also, you can do an advanced search according to the date range, and this will help very much when you are actually doing logistics in terms of your invoices, when the invoices came into the system. And secondly, also via a search query or SQL query. Now, something that I'd like to just add. We have a mobile application for our system. And I'm just going to quickly unshare my screen, stop sharing my screen. So we have a mobile application that works together with our ScannerVision and our AVICA and our DMS. Now, this is compatible with Android and iOS. Now, customers that don't want to use the phone application can use it on tablets as well. Now, what we generally would do is, if a customer prints out a delivery note, we can send that delivery note directly. Well, first of all, we can send the original into our DMS, and that sits and waits in our DMS. So I'll quickly explain to you what I mean by that. I'm going to just reshare my screen. It actually sits and waits in the system, and it just sits here. Then what will happen is the driver will receive the delivery note on the phone or on the tablet. But before the driver goes out, he will obviously go to the warehouse to collect his stock. Then the driver will go out to do his delivery. The people at the warehouse will come back with their packing slips and documentation, and they will go to the multifunctional device and they will scan the rest of the documents, the packing slips, using a barcode, and that will attach to the original document that's sitting and waiting there. The driver will arrive at the customer, and the driver will have his geolocation on, and then the driver will also have questions that he can answer on the tablet or on the phone. He will then get the customer to sign the delivery note. He will take a picture or an image of the stock that has been delivered to make sure that the stock is not damaged. He will upload the image, attach the image to the signed delivery note, and say complete on the template to say I have completed my delivery, and he will say upload. It will upload the driver's name, the geolocation, the document with the signed electronic signature, and the status that we have pulled through, which says complete. And that document and the image and that document with all that information will then come back, and it's also time and date stamped. That will come back into our system, and it will attach to the rest of the documents as well. So that's basically, in a nutshell, our demonstration, or my demonstration for today, and that is basically what our system can do. And that is me. Are there any questions? Oh, Chisri, yes. Oh, Thomas. Okay, Thomas, I knew you were going to ask that. All right, Thomas is, Thomas, yes. So we have a wonderful little tool that's been brought into the system. It's actually an amazing little tool. Let's say, for example, you've obviously I've explained to you that you can automatically link documents, or append, I should rather say the word append. Documents to each other. So in other words, documents that have got a relationship to each other. Chris, I'll answer your question just now. So basically, I've got an invoice. Now I'm uploading a trip sheet, and I'm uploading a packing slip, and I'm uploading everything. They belong together. We can do that automatically. That's called append. But now let's say I've got this document. This is my, what we call parent document in the system. But it's sitting in a completely different folder. So I have not appended that document. So what I do is I actually go and I say, this is my parent, by switching on my linking mode. Then what I do is I can then go to another folder, and I can say that in this folder structure, this document is actually related, or there is a link between my document in the logistics folder and this invoice. And I can then save that link. So in other words, when I click on document links, I will actually see that's the parent and that is my child. And that is how you can actually create manual document linking in our system. It's mostly also used when you, for example, have an HR environment where you have maybe different HR folder structures, and they're all sitting in different folders, and you actually want to manually link maybe documents that are not specifically appended to each other, but they do have a relationship to each other, and you want to maybe view it in a quick view environment. So we have this option over here where you have document linking. Does that explain it, Thomas? So Cesare, this is coming out soon. We're busy testing this version, so hopefully I can have it. I know you love testing, so hopefully I'll have it available for you very soon to test. Okay, Chris, you said, can you upload a document when you're temporarily offline? So in other words, you are referring to an offline mode. So basically, our system currently, I mean, are you referring to the document management system, or are you referring to the Scanner Vision system? The mobile app. So the mobile app does have an offline application. So yes, it will, once you're offline, it will actually cache the information, and then once it goes online again, it will actually just push it up again. Okay, Ryan, is there a way of automatically linking documents to it? Is there a way of automatically linking documents? Oh, that's a long one, Ryan. Sorry, I'm just quickly reading. Is there a way of automatically linking documents to each other? For example, in logistics, you may have an order, dispatch, and delivery that you want to compare to each other. Are you talking about the document linking feature, or are you talking about us actually, in a way, appending the documents if there is a unique way of linking the documents together, Ryan? I just want to quickly clarify that. Okay, so three-way matching. So in other words, isn't the way automatically. So basically, as I said, with the appending of documents, we would obviously need something unique in order to append the documents to each other, so that when we bring documents in, the first document or documents that are sitting in the system, they would need something unique to append it to, correct? So that's the first option. By doing document linking, that is still a manual thing. So that would not be something that could be done automatic. But Misra can jump in there. Sorry, Misra, maybe you can answer that question. I'm struggling to just try and understand this.
Hi, Ryan. Your question is that can you hear me? Hello? Okay. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Misra.
Thank you. Right. Ryan, your question there is very specific. So to answer the short version, the short answer would be yes, we can do that. So that's why we have different document properties for documents that are uploaded to Docvolant. So you can have a key piece of information. Think of maybe an invoice number, for example. And then on the search function, the advanced search, if you search for that piece of information, it'll return the documents in whichever departments they are, as long as they have that piece of information. So we do have that in that way currently. However, we are going to also add document linking, which will make that solution a bit beefier and add more features to it. I don't know if that answers your question. Not sure if Ryan.
Ryan, does that answer your question?
Well, right now, we actually have, I know this, I've actually even seen a preview of it where on the search results that you have, you can view different documents. So I know we have that, but in the search result, on the search results side, we will obviously incorporate that in documents linking as well. So the answer is yes, we do have that feature. Thank you.
Okay, then Virgo, thanks for that question. Docvolant appears to be a digital archive with powerful ways to organize and search documents. So yes, obviously, what about the possibility of a simple task or workflow to check an approval and upload documents? So in other words, so basically the original reasoning around us bringing out the system was to have a very simplistic document management system with all the basic features of a DMS. So currently we have basic and advanced search, we have collaboration, we have obviously backup and restore, we have document linking, very soon we'll also have notifications. So we have all the version control, audit trail, model manager to create templates and metadata fields, etc. Currently, we are working on the workflow engine. So in other words, yes, we are working towards that, but our main aim was originally to target the small to medium market, to give them all the features together with our other tools that we have that are very powerful, which is Scanner Vision and Avica, to give the customer an end-to-end solution to be able to do what we are currently doing and to showcase what we currently have. But the peace of mind is there that right now, yes, we are working on additional features and functions for workflows so that you can have that workflows and the escalations and all of that, you know, on our roadmap. So that is coming. Does that answer your question, Mirko?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear
Yeah.
you, Mirko. How are you?
Thank you, fine. So thank you so much for your answer. Yes, the expectation, you answered to my expectation, and yeah, thank you so much.
Perfect. No problem, Mirko. Ciao.
Ciao.
Ciao. Any other questions? Anybody else? More than happy to answer questions. You all have our email addresses. So if you would like us to, if you'd like to send us an email or any questions, please feel free to do so. We can simply definitely answer your question. If you want us to do further demonstrations, or if you want to if you just have any general questions, not even related to logistics, maybe in another vertical, please feel free to give us a shout. We are more than happy to take you through anything that you may find interesting outside of the logistics vertical as well. So I'm going to, with that, hand it over to Corinda again.
Thank you, Ingard. Thank you for the demonstration, and thank you everybody for joining. Hope you found it insightful. You will be getting an email afterwards just thanking you, but it will contain the link to the webinar, and it will also have our contact details. So we hope you have a beautiful morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are in the world, and see you soon. Thank you.